Chaim, Chaim, Chaim V'Librocha. Welcome, folks. As we continue the Mimer, the Chassidic discourse, Rani V'Simchi, Bas Tzion. Sing, be joyful, daughter of Zion. And the question, why the daughter of Zion rather than just Zion itself? And we're coming to explain the difference between daughter, sister, and mother. Daughter is a recipient from her parents. In a sense, she has nothing. Sisters are equals. There's a give and take. A mother is the giver, the ultimate giver. So the recipient is metaphorically mitzvahs, the act of doing a mitzvah, God's thing that we do. Torah, we're more like, there's more of an equality, because in the act, you do the act. But, that's not where your humanness is. Your humanness is in your understanding and your appreciation and your feelings towards something. Well, understanding is Torah. You need to own it. You need to internalize it, make it part of you and your humanness, meaning your mind at least, right? From there, it'll affect the heart, but the mind at least. And in that respect, then, as we learn Torah, God's learning with us. We call him to learn. We are his study partner. So it's like sisters, equals. And then there's mother, which is self-sacrifice, which is, as a mother, sacrifices her life for her children, which in divine service means self-sacrifice towards God. Now, what we've said, there's still something virtuous over a daughter than even mother. In other words, having nothing and being just the recipient, meaning doing the mitzvah, just doing the mitzvah. So what we explained till now is that in what we draw down from the divine order of things, we precipitate it when there's self-sacrifice, because of course it's me being sacrificing the self, sacrificing, putting aside my will to do the divine will. But then that's pending on me. And likewise, the Torah study is also pending on me because I got to understand it. So I've got to bring into the human dimension, which is understanding. So then what I elicit as a result of that, what I precipitate on high as a result of that, will be something limited. It'll be something that has its limitation, as opposed to the mitzvah. The mitzvah is God's thing to begin with, period. Now, of course, we got to do the act of the mitzvah. But the act of the mitzvah, doing the action of putting on the tefillin, shaking lulav and esrog, sitting in a sukkah, eating a matzah, the observance of Shabbos, in the act of it, not in the awareness of it, not in the feelings towards it, because in the mitzvah we mean the act of it in its core. I'm just doing God's thing. I'm just doing God's thing. Well, so therefore what I elicit is God's, eliciting God himself. There's no, what's the word? No me to, that it's filtered through, right? My understanding, my giving over. And therefore what we elicit on high is a completely from above of God himself. And that's what it means in the rest of the verse. Because I am coming. The eye of God, is coming. Not coming because we precipitated it, we invited him to come. In Torah learning, you make the invitation. You're learning, that invites God. Self-sacrifice, all the more so. It's got to be you sacrificing. But here, there's no invitation. God's coming on his own, so to speak. It's God's mitzvah, and he says, I'm coming when you do the act. Now, of course, again, you got to do the act. So in that sense, you could say that's the invitation. But it's not filtered through me. I'm just doing it. Filtered through me, that it's integrated and absorbed within me, means within my mind and within my heart. Within my mind is Torah study, and my heart is sacrifice, because sacrifice means I'm giving over my will, which is an expression of my heart, and doing the will of God. So, in other words, it begins with me. That's the point. The mitzvah begins with God, his command, his thing. And therefore, what we elicit and what we draw down is him beginning that. And therefore, it's of him. That's core essence of God. Now, even the person in there, that's as far as what we draw down through the act of the mitzvah, biti of my daughter, right? But now, even in reference to the person who's serving, there's something greater about the person in the act of the mitzvah, even more so than sister and mother, study of Torah and self-sacrifice. Because in a refined manner, in the study of Torah, and in the sacrifice, in some refined way, there is the mitzias of the person there. There's the greatness of the person, right? In the act of putting tefillin, there's no sense of greatness in the person. Now, maybe in what they understand of it, yes, but that's the Torah part of it, not the mitzvah part of it. Right? There's no difference me putting on tefillin and Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rebbe putting on tefillin in the act of it. And in the study of Torah, self-sacrifice, it's going to be great differences, because it's depending on the mitzias of the person. In other words, there's something great about it. The more you understand Torah, well, I mean, that brings out more your greatness. There's something great about, the great self-sacrifice of, those who were in Russia fighting, dealing with the communists, Stalin, Yamach Shmai, and the self-sacrifice that they had. So in some refined way, that a person going through and learning and they understand a lot, they get it, or their self-sacrifice is a lot. In some refined way, they're feeling their value. Right? I'm talking about the pure animal soul that feels their greatness, because then that's not at all. No, but there is some great value in it. So a person is going to sense that. I've told the story before. The Al Sheikh was the one who gave over Torah in Tzfas, in the shul, in the synagogue, at the Beis Yosef, the Arizal, Shlomo Alkabetz, like the Arizal. It's in the 1500s, and he was once speaking, the Al Sheikh, holy individual, and he was speaking about Avram Avinu, something, Abraham, and all of a sudden, the Arizal leaves, walks out on him. So he finished, and he went, what happened? Why did you walk out? Well, when you spoke about Avram Avinu, you know who came? Avram Avinu. But at one point, he walked out. So I walked out. So why did you walk out? Because you sensed a little, just a little bit, your satisfaction in your in giving over your message. I'm talking about holy people. Oh, you felt self? Well, there's no room for Avram Avinu to be there. He left, so I left too. Hey, that's and that's what we're saying over here. Feeling the satisfaction of self, right? Self-awareness, which is a good thing, right? But it's also, there's the self I'm being aware of, which is not a real bittul. And when you study Torah or self-sacrifice, you're going to be aware of your understanding, your appreciation, when you're sacrifice, well, it's you sacrificing, you're going to be appreciative, even if it's in a very refined way, of the virtue, your virtue. Well, I just got an epiphany. You're yes, well, right. We're not talking about any real negative stuff over here, but we're comparing mitzvah versus Torah and self-sacrifice. So obviously it's not negative. It's all good, right? Just to appreciate the distinction. Um, so as a sacrifice means you're giving to God something. That's amazing, right? That's like remarkable that you're able to give to God something. So that recognition and that feeling of, it might be just a minute sense of self, because the self is giving to God something. God, um, is already means that there's the mitzias of the person. There's something, you're not purely connected. There's some of my agenda there, that I'm feeling me. and my self-worth and value. Because look, I'm giving to God something. Again, in a very refined way, it's being expressed over here. Not like, look at me, I'm special. No, 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 no. That's already off the charts. But to compare that to fulfilling the command of God, that, well, it's God's thing, and I'm just doing what he wants, right? Um, right. I mean, in other words, and there's no sense of, oh, so like I'm just doing what God wants. That's it. It's an action, so it's not like in the actions of what you do. It's not like oh, like you're great. You put on tefillin. Now, the intent you have in tefillin, right, which is like that's we're not talking about the intent that Moshe Rabbeinu's intent is much greater than mine, but his action and mine are the same, right? Of putting on tefillin, taking a coin, putting it into charity. So we like glorify yourself that you did the act of putting on tefillin, or think something special about yourself. No, not in the act, because it's all an equalizer. In the learning of Torah, there's a difference. Some of you are getting much more profoundly what I'm saying, and some of you are getting it less profoundly. So there's distinction. There's more of because there's more of you engaged in it. So the you is your Metzias, is your being, and that you know filters out then in a certain way. It's not the same kind of bittul self-effacement in a very refined way we're talking about over here. So here, it's through the act of the mitzvah, I'm drawing the essence of God, not because of anything of me, but it's because the mitzvah is the will of God and draws him. So through the bittul self-effacement, that we become a vessel through the act of the mitzvah. And that's what it means that God says, I'm coming. I'm coming, me, myself, and I'll bring this and internalize this in you. So what was the epiphany I just had is that when you're dealing with a situation, right, in life, with someone, something in life, so the real bittul is not where you will internalize it and try to understand it and figure it, which you do need to do to try to understand a situation, right? Right. But when you do that, that's bringing it inside of you and making and it brings in your mitzias, your being, right? As opposed to, what do I got to do? How do I respond in acting? How am I supposed to act here? Not, Torah is bringing it, internalizing, understanding. Um, we're not negating it, but there's a greater bittul, a greater um, self-effacement in just how to act in the situation rather than how to feel about the situation or how to even understand the situation. Now you need to understand it and how your feelings about it. So, in therapy, or how do you feel about this? That's no, what is the right course of action how do I respond is a greater bittul, and that's the most important thing. As opposed to, how do I feel about this? What's your understanding about this? That's you there. Where's God there? More so, more so. What I got to do? What's the action? Anyway, more on that to come. Thank you, folks. We'll see you shortly.